Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maximillion Toybox. I'm your host, Newbie1077, and here we're going to start this new sort of series that we actually came up with. And this series is going to be sort of a discussion, but we're not going to be talking about the meta, we're not going to be talking about what's hot, what's not, we're not going to be talking about any of that. It's a creative discussion. And what that means is, specifically for this series, is new archetypes. By this, it's not archetypes that Konami is officially releasing. I have no idea what Konami is officially releasing. I have no insider tips. But as for new archetypes, I just mean, if we were to work at Konami, what archetypes would we be cracking out for you, the people? And I guess since we haven't really started this yet, I'm going to be the one who starts off this segment. And for my first one is, well, if I was to walk into Konami and they would ask me if I was in charge of an archetype, of coming up with a new one, I would look them square in the eye and I'd say, I want to see more of kangaroos. Now, typically, when we see kangaroos in anime, cartoons, comics, video games, any sort of pop culture, any sort of way where we're going to personify kangaroos, we typically see them as boxers, or as we have seen in Yu-Gi-Oh!, they are boxers. I don't want to go that route. I think that route is played out. I think it's, at this point it's just beating the dead horse. I mean, if I wanted, a boxer kangaroos, I'd be running Death Kangaroo and Kangaroo Champ. As per this archetype, I would have to say that it would have to be synchro-based. It definitely has to be synchro-based. I mean, as we've seen with Yang Zings, synchro-based decks are still alive. Gustos are still being played. Not as much, they're not meta, but they're still being played. There's still a fan, there's still not a fan, but a good amount of fans who play Gustos. For example, I'm building Gustos right now. Some of you may have been like, you know what, I'm throwing away Gustos now. I hope not, that'll hurt. And I mean, we've seen synchro decks, go up and down, around and around. We've seen a bunch of different synchro decks since the 5D era. Whereas whether it's Synchron, Ice Barrier, Fabled, whatever. What this synchro archetype, I believe, should bring to the table that is completely different from any synchro archetype that I have seen is the fact that the non-tuner monsters will be dropping tokens. And I'll get back to that in a minute. So first off, with any synchro deck, you're going to need tuners, obviously. And the tuners, I would say, would only have to be level 1 or level 2. Of course, all the monsters being as they're animals, I would say would have to be Earth attribute. That's just what I would say. If Konami or anyone wants to fight me on that one, that's cool. I would just have to hear what's your point of view on this one. But because they're just animals, Earth attribute. They're going to have to be Beast type. I mean, Beast Warrior would be nice and all, but I think Beast type would work very well. Because although it's nice to have tanky, it's also nice to have Obedience School and Ayers Rock Sunrise and various cards like that. So, I mean, if you would ask me, they'd have to just be Earth Beasts. So as I said, as the points I've thrown out, tuners are level 1 or 2. Have to be Earths, have to be Beasts. As for the non-tuner monsters, that's a different thing. I would say for the non-tuners, it would have to range from levels of 1 to 5. For that, what I'm going to have to say makes, as I said before, what makes these non-tuners, it's very narcissistic for me to say, but, a cut above the rest from other non-tuner monsters in other archetypes is the fact that, like Yang Zings, they have effects that activate Engrave after they are sent from the field to the graveyard, either by battle or by card effect. I don't want it to be based on destruction, because then it's like, it's too much like Yang Zings. But even if it's like, tributing. So, for example, if, your opponent Monarch Storms forth and tributes your non-tuner Kangaroo, you'd still get the effect Engrave. Now, as I stated before, it would have to use tokens. So like any kangaroo, so like as we've seen with kangaroos, they hold their babies in their pouches, joeys. Each kangaroo will drop a joey token. Well, at least the non-tuners will. I don't want the tuners to drop joey tokens because then it's like stupid. So the non-tuners will be dropping joey tokens. All the tokens will be Earth, Beast type, 0 attack, 0 defense, but their levels will vary. So for example, if you say you had a level 5 and it was sent from the field to the graveyard, now you get to summon a level 5 joey token. These joey tokens have to mimic the exact level of the kangaroo that dropped them. That was one of my biggest things that I need to stress this on this. With that, I mean, you can do a lot of broken plays. You're going to use, first off, you're going to use a lot of tokens, so you can run, token festivals, token Sundays, token stampedes if you want to. But the other thing is, this whole concept of, even though you're losing the monster, you're still getting these tokens. And because I'm thinking about it now, and I might have these effects be destruction effects, like if they're destroyed and sent to the graveyard, not if they're sent from field to grave. Because if they're sent from field to grave, then you can just go level 1, synchro with a level 4 non-tuner kangaroo, and then you can get an Armades, and then you special summon a level 4 token. True, it's a 0 attack, 0 defense, but then you're just going for these real quick synchro plays. So really, it depends on if at this point, if I were to present this to Konami, it'd be, it would depend on whether Konami wants this to be an incredibly fast deck or a not so fast deck, but something that can still do stuff. So if they wanted it to be an incredibly fast deck, that would mean whenever it's sent from the field to the graveyard it's just whenever it's sent from field to graveyard, it drops a joey token. Which that means, you can go Obedience Schooled, normal summon a level 4, synchro with a 2, you get a level 4, you get a level 6 synchro, and a level 4 token. Then you can synchro for a 5, and then you can get a 5 synchro, a 6 synchro, and you still have the level 1 tuner. To which, you can either synchro for another 6, and then go to, a rank 6, or you could just let the level 6, or the level 1 die because it was brought out from Obedience Schooled. With the fact that it's Earth, you can definitely see Naturias being run, Beast and Barkion, much like they're being ran in Raccoons. You can also definitely see use for Leo because it is a synchro base. You can also use Shooting Quasar because you have the level 1s. You can use 1-for-1s. You can use a lot of different cards. So with this archetype, I can definitely see it being used. That's just me. And then because they're beasts, like I said, you can use Ayers Rock Sunrise, Obedience Schooled, Horn of the Phantom Beast, and various things. You just can't use fire formations because they're not Beast Warriors, but that's fine. So really when I came up with this deck, it was like I thought of it being of a mixture of Yang Zing, Fabled, and Raccoon, and then just coming up with something from that mixture of the three. As for the archetype support on Spells and Traps, I have no idea. I can't come up with all these ideas, people. I'm just coming up with the monsters. As for Spells and Traps, it would be nice to come up with spells and traps that are just for the Kangaroo archetype, but at the same time, it's like Raccoons didn't need it. I don't think the Kangaroos need it as well, because as it is, Beasts and Earths already have their own support, so it's fine there. So yeah, that's definitely it. That's all the points that I have to raise, that if I were allowed to work for Konami, even for a day, I'd definitely really push everyone to try and get this Kangaroo archetype out of the board. You know, off the drawing board and into packs. That way, you know, eventually it might work into some people's decks. Even if they're not meta. If even one person plays the deck, I'd be pretty happy, because I'd be playing the deck too. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like our Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'd love that very much. And don't forget to thumbs up this video if you did, in fact, like this whole concept of we're going to just present these random crazy ideas of if we worked for Konami, these are the archetypes we'd come up with. If you really want your friends to see it, or if you know a friend that, you know, loves Kangaroos as much as I do, just let them know. Be like, hey, crazy-ass newbie was saying that Kangaroos should be a thing, and As crazy as it is, that's a good idea. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. I'm Newbie1077. This is Maximillion Toybox, signing off.